This is a video to go over the answers to accentuate the negative, checkup 1. You may have slightly different numbers on your quiz, but hopefully they're pretty much the same. All right, let me go to the next slide. How is this? Okay, so here we have a number line, and it's asking you to mark these numbers. So first we're going to start with -4. Well, actually first I would just put probably 0 right here. Let me make a smaller. And I would also draw the point there. So if that's 0, then let's see, this would be -1, 2, 3, 4 over here, just counting to the left of 0. So this would be -4. And then 1/2 would be between 0 and 1. So actually, let me make this 0 a little skinnier. So 1/2, I would say, would be probably right about here. And that would be 1/2. And then it asks for a different color to draw and label the opposite of -4. So since -4 is like this far from 0, then the opposite of that would be 4 units to the right of 0. And if I'm shading that in, I would have a point there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so then here for how do I know that I've located that correctly, you should probably be a little bit more thorough than this, but you should have something about it is the same distance from 0. And let's see if I can get that to show here. Oops. Okay, something about 4 being the same distance, just in the opposite direction of -4. I just don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so here we're just inserting less than, greater than, or equal to. So -1.4 and -2.5. Well, I did get, you don't have to use the number line, but just to kind of think about it as I explain this, let's say this is 0. This is -1, -2, -3, and so on. Then -1.4 would be somewhere in here, and -2.5 would be somewhere in here. So that tells me that -1.4 is greater than -2.5. And in terms of what you should write over here, something about -1.4 is farther to the right on the number line. Or you could have talked about how with positive numbers, 2.5 would be greater than 1.4. But with negative numbers, the order kind of gets reversed since the numbers are getting smaller to the left. Okay, and then for number 3, we would just say that 10 is greater than -100. And I don't know, I would say something about how any positive number is always greater or bigger or whatever than any negative number. Okay, so if you had different numbers here, hopefully that still helps explain which direction your answer should be. If you were comparing two negative numbers, the one with the smaller absolute value is actually greater. Just think about it's better to only owe $1.40 than to owe $2.50. Okay, and then the third slide and final slide, you were graphing inequalities. So for this one, x is less than or equal to 3. So the first thing you should do is just put a 3 kind of somewhere in the middle, and then maybe a few other numbers either side. Maybe this could be, we could put a 4 here, and I'm using the text tool, maybe a 5 and a 2. and a 1. Okay. And I think you can just kind of move these closer formatting wise. All right. But basically we want less than or equal to 3. All the numbers that make that true. So since it can also be equal to, if you see that little line underneath, that means it's less than or equal to. So we are going to make our circle at 3, but I'm going to shade that in. It's going to be a closed circle because we're including the number 3. And then I'm going to shade everything that is less than that. Okay, and you can always double check by putting in, let's say we pick one of these numbers just to test it out. If I try the number 2 in for x, let's see, is that true? Is 2 less than or equal to 3? Yeah, and any number over here, if I plug in a 1 instead of x, 1 is less than or equal to 3, 0 is less than or equal to 3, any number to the left of 0, any negative number, so that's why we shade to the left. So if your number was different or if it was going the other direction, your graph might look different. Okay, on problem number 5, it's x is greater than -4. So again, we're going to kind of just, I'm going to plot my -4 right there in the middle. If you think about what is 1 greater than that, that would be -3. And then greater than that would be -2. We're getting towards 0 over on the right here. And then to the left over here, this would be -5. And over here would be -6. But our -4 there is kind of our central number of interest. And we want all the numbers that are greater than -4. So in this case, I am not going to shade in my circle. I am just going to draw, whoops, I need my pencil tool. I'm just going to draw an open circle, but I want all the numbers that are even just a tiny bit bigger than that. So I'm going to go to the right here because this is the direction the numbers are getting bigger. And I want to go all the way kind of up to -4, but not including -4. So that's why something like -3.5, -3.9, -3.99, all of those should be included. And again, let me just do a little test to double check. Let's pick one of our numbers that's shaded here. I'm going to pick -2, and I'm going to substitute that in for x and see if my inequality is true. So I can test, is -2 greater than -4? Is that true? Yeah, -2 is a greater value than -4. So I shaded the correct direction. All right, I hope that helps. If you had different problems and you aren't sure how to do the one you did, please feel free to send me an email and I will make a little video for your version as well.